I mean, just steps into it with every ounce of his body. Perfect right hand. So the fact that Jake Paul wants to fight that guy, hey, I'll watch. I'm going to watch.
Yesterday, I said that you should coach Joshua, and he agreed. He liked the idea. Joshua, Mike Tyson will coach him.
Joe Rogan's breakdown. When Joe Rogan spoke about Anthony Joshua reportedly training alongside Mike Tyson, his reaction made one thing very clear. This is not a joke, and this is not a casual fight. Rogan immediately framed it as a serious warning sign. He explained that when a former champion like Joshua chooses a legend like Tyson for preparation, it means he is going
the year. You, Anthony Joshua, how we doing?
Dude, never been better. This is what I dreamed of. This is what I manifested into reality. I'm here to shock the world, inspire the next generation. We're in the Heat arena. I'm a big Heat fan. Miami's on fire. This is my first pro fight, was in Miami against Gibb. I'm bringing that same energy here. First round KO.
And the Schmo interviewed you there. When you fought Gibb, it was on Fight TV. We've been with you along the way. Not very many times you're looking up at a face-off. So what did you make of looking up for one of the very first times at a face-off right here?
Just looking up at Daddy there and just seeing, you know, how big he is, and just my eyes were kind of going into his nipples and stuff, which I kind of liked. And then basically I was just like, whoa, he's big in that. And then, yeah, I can't believe how tall he is.
Is this chain really on the line for the winner?
I don't know if it's confirmed, but I mean, I'm down. But he has to put something up, too. There has to be something in it for me.
You say this is the biggest upset that's going to be in boxing history, right up there with 42-1 with Buster Douglas.
Yep.
What is the headline going to be when you knock this guy out and he's laying on the canvas?
Holy...
into battle mode, not entertainment mode. Rogan broke it down simply. If Joshua enters the ring with that level of discipline, that level of hunger, and that level of conditioning, the physical difference alone could overwhelm his opponent very quickly. He pointed out that the size gap is not just a visual thing. It affects power, durability, reach, and pressure. More importantly, Rogan emphasized that Jake has never stood in front of a true heavyweight who fights with real intent. This isn't another test fight. This is unfamiliar territory. And unfamiliar territory in boxing is where careers can shift forever. Jake's confidence under pressure. When Jake Paul speaks, he always speaks like a man ready to rewrite history. He talks about shocking the world. He talks about inspiring the next generation.
Versus AJ, as though Jake Paul is the bigger in this equation. Not for me. Maybe for MVP, Nikisa, Jake Paul, but not for me. I've kind of marked it or titled it David versus Goliath just because of the size difference. Like Jake Paul's a big guy. He's 6'1", 220. Probably fights around the 200-pound mark. AJ is an enormous guy. Like he's a big unit. I think Jake realized that when they came face to face. I don't know if that's the first time they've ever come that close. I'm sure they've met behind the scenes. But I think there was a realization from Jake Paul, like, fuck, this is a big dude. It's a very big dude who isn't coming to play. There was no play with AJ. That was a press conference that almost sounded like AJ versus someone in the top 10. Where AJ's taking it seriously. He's answering the questions direct, throwing him. There was no, yeah, we're here to fuck around. It's going to be easy. Give me my money, let me run back to the UK. This was AJ's like, no, we're taking it seriously. And that ain't a good thing for Jake Paul. It isn't. And AJ's that guy anyway. I would never doubt that AJ would take this seriously. But for Jake Paul, I do wonder if realization is kicking in, or maybe he is just that delusional where he doesn't care. I do. And I've been sort of corrected by a few people who maybe know better. But I do think the Americans don't credit or rate AJ. I do think there's a bit of that. I remember when AJ did the rounds prior to the Ruiz fight, and there were a few people like, you're not that good. This was prior to him getting beat by Ruiz.
He carries that same confident energy that has followed him through every controversial fight of his career. But beneath that confidence, there is something different this time. As he jokes about needing to look upward just to make eye contact with Joshua, the humor feels slightly forced. The tone shifts for a split second. There's an unspoken acknowledgement that this opponent is built on another level. Still, Jake pushes forward with belief. He wants people to think confidence alone can move mountains. He wants fans to believe that ambition is enough to defeat a man who has held world titles and flattened real challengers. He frames the fight as symbolism, a smaller fighter daring to stand in front of a giant. To him, that courage alone is the message. But courage and survival inside a heavyweight ring are.
Next month, that is for money, as opposed to boxing and boxing merit, is Anthony Joshua against Jake Paul. How much are the boundaries of safety, Frank, being pushed for entertainment purposes here?
No, look, obviously we are in a dangerous sport. We have to accept that. And obviously the people looking after Jake Paul, if I was managing or promoting Jake Paul, would I say this is the right move for Jake Paul? Probably not, being completely honest with you. But he's put himself in a position, was Jake Paul Mike Tyson a sensible thing to do? To a 58-year-old man or 60, I'm not sure what Mike is, but was that sensible? Probably not. And I would have said that at the time, but it's the world we live in now. And the reality is a lot of people are going to watch it, but we also at the same time have to make the sport as safe as possible and put everything in place around it to ensure that. And that's what the commission, the Florida State Athletic Commission, will be doing, as will the promoters of the event.
So, I mean, Frank, not to finish on too much of a negative, but it begs the question, if Anthony Joshua ends up inflicting considerable damage on Jake Paul, how much does that reflect on you and Matchroom?
I think we go into the fight. We got offered a proposition to do this fight. Anthony Joshua accepted it. Jake Paul's put himself in a position to take that fight, and that's the reality, Jake Paul. But we all want everything we do in this sport. We want to make it as safe as we possibly can, but we have to accept the risks attached to it.
And this is risky, isn't it?
Yeah, look, it is risky. I think Jake Paul's crazy. I think he's delusional, but respect to him for doing it. And he's getting a load of money.
And Frank, just to silence all the doubters here, a lot of people saying this can't be real, Anthony Joshua going in there, it must be an exhibition, or Anthony Joshua's it's going to be choreographed and Anthony's going to carry him through a couple of rounds. I know Anthony Joshua, just to silence all those doubters, he's going to go in there to do a job.
That ambition is enough to defeat a man who has held world titles and flattened real challengers. He frames the fight as symbolism, a smaller fighter daring to stand in front of a giant. To him, that courage alone is the message. But courage and survival inside a heavyweight ring are two very different things. And when the bell rings, belief alone won't stop the kind of power that has ended real careers. Size, reality, and the Goliath effect. The size comparison has become one of the most talked about elements of this entire matchup. Jake has always been known as a strong fighter in his own divisions. He looks powerful against men his size. But everything changes when Oladipo describes the matchup as a modern-day David versus Goliath. He explains that Joshua doesn't just stand taller. He carries the structure of a lifelong heavyweight. His frame is the result of years of brutal conditioning, professional warfare, and physical battles against men built exactly like him. When both fighters appear side by side, the difference becomes almost surreal. It doesn't look like two men from the same sport. It looks like two different weight classes trying to occupy the same space. Even with added muscle and weight, Jake still doesn't match the natural build of a fighter who has lived in the heavyweight world. Oladipo makes it clear, the public is about to witness a rare and dangerous contrast. One man stepping up from a smaller battlefield into the territory of giants who have only fought giants their entire lives. This is no longer just entertainment. At the start, many fans tried to brush this fight off as entertainment. A spectacle, a staged event designed for headlines and views. But that narrative begins to fall apart the moment people analyze Joshua's preparation. His training clips don't show a man going through the motions. They show a heavyweight sharpening weapons. Those close to boxing understand something very important. Joshua does not carry the mindset of a man who plays his role in entertainment. His entire career has been built on pressure, punishment, and survival against genuine threats. He has faced elite punchers. He has felt championship weight on his shoulders. He doesn't walk into rings to perform lightly. Meanwhile, Jake continues to promote the idea of shocking the world. And in fairness, the world is watching. But the difference in reality is becoming harder to ignore. Joshua looks like a man preparing to erase doubt, not create drama. The narrative of a playful exhibition is fading. What remains is the image of a heavyweight preparing to enforce physics, power, and experience against pure belief.